Okay, my name is Jerome J. Suran. People call me Jerry. My birth date is January 11th, 1926. I served in the Second World War in the United States Army Infantry. The division was a 66th Infantry Division, and I served in the 263rd Anti-Tank Company of that division. My highest rank was a Private First Class. The date and place of this recording is in El Macero, California, right outside of Davis, California. And the interviewer's name is
Melissa Bradford.
All right, and begin. All right, and then you ask your interview questions.
Okay.
All right. It's a good thing I can edit this.
Okay, so we're going to start with, what was your rank in World War II?
Private First Class.
And how did you accomplish getting that?
How did I what?
How did you accomplish getting to your rank?
I was promoted from a private. That's not very far to be promoted.
Were you assigned anywhere else other than D-Day?
Or before D-Day.
Or before D-Day? Were you assigned anywhere else?
Well, this was not, I came into the war on January 1st, 1945, and that is about 6 months after D-Day. It was during the time of the Battle of the Bulge, one of the biggest battles in Europe that involved American troops. And after the war ended, in May 7th, after the war in Europe ended, we were presumably going to be sent to the United States, regroup, and go into action against Japan and the invasion of Japan, which I think was scheduled for about September or October of 1945. But as you know, the Americans dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and on Nagasaki, and the war ended in August. And right after that, I was sent back to Germany for occupation duty in Germany.
So were you ever a part of Pearl Harbor?
Never. No, Pearl Harbor occurred in 1941. I was about your age at that time.
So you were a part of D-Day, right?
Not part of D-Day, no.
You were
I came into Europe, as I said before, 6 months after D-Day, and participated in the Battle of the Bulge.
So, what exactly happened during the battle?
On December 17th, the Germans launched a major offensive through the Ardennes forest in Europe, and their offensive caught the American armies completely by surprise. At that time, I was in England. I had arrived in England at the end of November 1944, and we were training in England, and we were kind of a division that was held in reserve. So when the Germans attacked on December 17th, the 66th Infantry Division was ordered into action, and we crossed the Channel on Christmas Eve of 1944. It was December 24th, 1944. And on the way from England to France, our major troop ship, which was on the SS Leopoldville, was torpedoed by a German submarine. And we lost close to 800 men that night in the English Channel. And many hundreds more were effectively wounded by frostbite. And so when we landed in Europe, the division had already been decimated pretty heavily. We were then assigned to the 12th Army that was commanded by General Omar Bradley, and we regrouped in a town right out of Cherbourg in France, and we were ordered then to replace, I believe it was the 94th Infantry Division, which was holding about 50,000 Germans encircled in the French ports of Lorient and Saint-Nazaire. And it was there that we saw most of our action during the rest of the war.
So you were on a boat, correct?
I was on the same convoy that the Leopoldville was in. Being in an anti-tank company, I was on what's called an LST, that stands for Landing Ship Tanks, and we were hauling 57 millimeter anti-tank guns on 3/4 ton Army trucks. And so we were not part of the regular infantry troops that were on the Leopoldville, but we were assigned to cross the channel in LSTs. And these were the same kinds of LSTs that invaded Europe during the D-Day. They had the door that opened when it hit the beach, and our trucks would pull out onto the beach in Cherbourg, near Cherbourg Harbor, hauling these anti-tank guns. So we were in the same convoy, and we were not on the, I personally was not on that ship, right? Mm-hmm.
So what exactly is a convoy?
What was that?
What exactly is a convoy?
A convoy is a group of ships that are crossing a body of water where the ships may consist of a lot of things like troop ships, like LSTs that we were on, like supply ships, freighters and whatnot, protected by U.S. Navy destroyers or U.S. Navy aircraft carriers. So a convoy effectively is a group of ships that's protected by the Navy, supposedly against either surface or subsurface enemy action.
So was most of your personal fighting, was most of it on land or most of it naval?
No, on land, of course. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so before you arrived at the place, what was going through your mind during?
What was going through my mind?
Continue. Sorry. Hello? Yeah.
Should we interrupt or are we continuing?
You can continue.
Okay. It's hard to know, it's hard to remember what was going through my mind 65 years ago, but when I landed at Cherbourg, I was surprised that the harbor lights were on. I didn't know what had happened because while we were crossing the channel I was sound asleep and I didn't hear anything about the submarine attack until we got to the other side. So when we got there I was surprised that the lights were on, and I noticed that ships and boats, small boats essentially, were scurrying around the harbor. I found out later that they were looking for either survivors or bodies of the infantrymen who had perished down at Leopoldville. And so I was just surprised that this all happened while I was asleep crossing the channel. When I got to the port and when we disembarked and we finally went to our point of where we would combine again as a division, none of us knew what was going to happen. All we knew was that the major battle for the Bulge was going on.